I've been viewing porn since around age 14 when my neighbor shared his dad's porn collection with me. I quickly switched to internet porn, thanks AOL chat rooms, and have been addicted ever since. I am currently 28. Like the op, I found my tastes getting more and more hardcore, which inevitably in the porn industry also means more demeaning towards women. I've belonged to countless porn sites, costing hundreds, possibly thousands of dollars overall, filling hard drives with porn. Periodically, I'd get sick of my addiction and sick of the demeaning porn I craved, but didn't want to crave, and would delete my porn collections and try to go cold turkey. This never worked, and inevitably I'd build up those collections again. I tried limiting myself to softcore and lesbian porn, as someone else here mentioned. I am here to say that probably won't work, but it would always escalate and the cycle would repeat. However, I did not find that this diminished my sexual appetite, rather it increased it. I also did not find that I became more and more selfish in bed, rather I became more generous. I love to please my partner. But I did also find that my tastes in bed started to follow my tastes in porn. I wanted to do kinkier and more demeaning things with my partners. At my peak, not too long ago, I would watch porn every single day, and normally more than once. It just filled my free time. I'm bored. What should I do? Watch porn. Eventually it became essentially the only thing I wanted to do. I would decline social invites in favor of staying home and watching porn. By the end of the workday, I couldn't concentrate on work anymore. All I wanted to do was get home and watch porn. As a result, I didn't put enough effort into a demanding job. I put in the requisite 8 hours, but just about everyone else was going above and beyond. It was a software startup. As a result, my performance wasn't up to snuff and I was let go. I still couldn't admit that my porn addiction was a problem. I also suffer from mild depression. More on that later, so I decided it was time to see a psychiatrist. I told him about my porn watching, but was too embarrassed to admit its extent. So we focused on depression and anxiety, and I went on a few prescription meds. None of this helped, and eventually I stopped seeing him. Fast forward a year or two, and I'm just as addicted to porn as ever. I'm in a less demanding job, so it wasn't affecting my performance at work as it had before. But again, I came to a breaking point and realized that this problem was beyond my control. I couldn't solve it through willpower alone and needed help. So I went back to therapy. This time I went not for my depression, but for my porn addiction specifically. I told my therapist all about my habits and how I was afraid it had affected me. We also, of course, discussed my depression. Fortunately, he is an excellent therapist and was able to make a connection pretty quickly that I hadn't made for nearly a decade. My root problem was depression and porn was my coping mechanism. Some cope with alcohol, others with drugs, but the underlying theme is the same. There is a problem that the user is suffering from, but it's a problem that they can't properly cope with. So they go for the quick fix. Get drunk, and you feel better while you're drunk. Get high, and you feel better while you're high. Masturbate to porn, and you feel better while you masturbate, and of course the orgasm is a quick and easy artificial mood boost. So we started dealing with my depression using cognitive behavioral therapy, which worked amazingly well for my particular form of mild depression. My therapist specifically said, "Don't try to go cold turkey. I would be worried if you did. It's your coping mechanism, and if you were to abandon it completely it could have serious negative consequences. So don't worry about that problem for now. Let's deal with the depression and then we'll work on the addiction." That's what we did, and I started coping with my depression in a much healthier way using cognitive behavioral therapy. It's only been 6 months and I've already noticed a vast improvement in my mood. And at first, as my therapist thought it might, it had no effect on my porn watching. It was as bad as ever. However, in the past month, seemingly without even trying, I've been craving porn less and watching it less. My biggest concern going into therapy was that I couldn't make it a single day without watching porn, and now I can. It isn't gone completely, and it's possible it never will be. But it's finally starting to come under control, and my social life is getting back to normal. I'm also doing better at work. The biggest takeaway from all this is that the porn addiction wasn't the underlying problem, it was the symptom of my depression. And trying to tackle the porn addiction without tackling the depression was fruitless.